Welcome guys, this is the first Ned review of the year. I'm Brenton, David Cauchi, and we're here to talk about the first 3 rounds of the season. Yeah, really happy with how Richie went at Bathurst. He qualified really well, his race pace was strong, and to be honest, his racecraft was really good as well. So definitely met and exceeded expectations from where I thought he'd be. And it's a really good start for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Bathurst was a really strong start for Richie. I think obviously the fact that he'd driven there in October last year definitely helped him. So for us, it was probably a positive to start the season at Bathurst because Richie had just driven there and obviously won there as well. So, but yeah, his performance was really strong, and it's has already set him up for being quite high up in the Drivers' Championship. So the team's performance at Bathurst, was strong, but I guess by our standards now. Also disappointing. I don't feel like we had the best car. The drivers really were really struggling with the car to drive it consistently. So there was certainly a couple of cars that were definitely faster than us, but I think we got the most out of the package that we had on the day. So from an overall performance perspective, we definitely had some work to do, which we went away and did post Bathurst at a rookie day and started to work through improving the car, which I believe we've done. But overall, the team came back together well. We had some new personnel, and there's always a bit of gelling that needs to happen at the start of the season. So positive, but yeah, we definitely needed a bit more car speed.
Yeah, I agree. I think having Matt miss the shootout on both days was quite frustrating. He had the pace on Sunday to be a provisional pole, and we didn't quite finish it off. But we come away from that race saying it's probably a good, bad round. We hope that that's not the best performance we have for the year. So. On the back end of that, we took a lot of positives out of it and were able to learn, but certainly not the performance that we were hoping for going into a new season. I think Bathurst is a sacred place, and it's a racetrack you want to go to less than more often because it's so special when we're there for the 1,000. So I think from our side, it was quite good we started at Bathurst because we saw that how we rolled the car out and how we performed probably wasn't the level we needed to be at. So it's given us a bit of a free kick to understand the car before we go back in October. But I don't think the track really played into our performance level.
No, that's right. Definitely not. Our car wasn't, where we wanted it to be at that circuit. And yeah, just from a racing perspective, I feel like Bathurst we should go once a year in October for the 1,000, and it ideally is not the first round of the year. But I know, Supercars will work through that and finding an appropriate first round moving forward, I think. Yeah, Grand Prix it's always a challenging weekend operationally. It's very different to our a standard round where we've got our own pit lane. Now this is the first time for a while where we didn't have our own pit lane at Grand Prix. But to be honest, look, it was once we got there and were set up, it was fine. Although it was very different to what we're used to. Everyone got on with it, and we were able to put on some good racing. I think the racing at Grand Prix is actually some of the best you probably see over the year because they're short races, there wasn't any pit stops, so it was just a flat out sprint. So I actually think that the show that we put on was actually really good considering we were pushed out the back in the tents and not given a lot of love, but I think Supercars did a good job there. And yeah, look, it was again, our car speed was strong, we were fast again. It's the weekend that really got away from us. We should have come home with a few big bags of points and some trophies, and we didn't. We came away with a few thirds, but I feel like we should have got more out of that weekend. And repairing the car on Saturday night. Look, those things happen when you go racing. Sometimes you crash, and we crashed, and the guys just got on with it and fixed the car, and we were able to then back it up the next day, start from pole, and lead the race. So, but overall, I think Grand Prix was a strong weekend, and lots of missed opportunities. Some through our own fault, and some not.
Yeah, my role at the race weekend's pretty limited. We've got some good people running the team, and the structure's well established. So. My side of the business is pretty well covered by the time we get there, but what I'm doing is I'm looking at how is the team operating, how are the drivers operating, what equipment do we have, what equipment do we need, and I'm always looking at what's next and making sure that I'm pushing the guys to get the level of what we have. So I guess it gives me a different insight to how the business is performing during pressure or under pressure. And being a driver myself, I kind of spend a lot of time with our drivers and see how they're performing and make sure that they're at the maximum as well, because it's probably a part of teams that most people don't think about, but they're all human and everyone can be better. So yeah, I'm really looking at the next step for the team when I'm at the track.
Yeah, so Taupo was first flyaway event for a couple of years. So it's always logistically they're always difficult. We have to cram all of our equipment from the B double and into a container, and we have quite tight weight restrictions. So we're leaving things behind that we'd probably rather have with us. But it's the same for everybody, and you know, but. Overall, once we got over there, again, everybody was, you know, got on with it, you know, and it was actually quite a good event. You know, they've done an awesome job over there. You know, it felt like a home round for us with having 2 Kiwi drivers. So we had the special livery. And you know, everybody, you know, felt like the whole country got behind us. So it was a really enjoyable event from that perspective. And again, you know, the car speed was good. Matt had you know, a couple of provisional poles, and then got and nailed it on Sunday in the shootout, and got his first pole from a shootout, which is a special achievement. You know, Richie definitely struggled a little bit on Saturday. In qualifying, but then came back and raced, you know, in the wet and really showed us, you know, what he can do when he just goes out there and drives the car, and able to basically come back from last to 6th in that race, which is one of the wettest races I've had since I think Bathurst 2017. So yeah, it was, and then Matt on Sunday. Look, we just didn't have the race pace to match those 2 other blue cars, but. You know, we've got to go away and really analyse that and have a good hard think about what we need to do to match those guys in race trim. We've proven that we can beat them in qualifying, but we can't be going from pole to 4th in races. That's just not where we need to be.
Yeah, it's cool to see whether it's on-track performance or off-track performance. Every week we seem to be making a step. We tend to focus only on-track performance more often than not. So to go to New Zealand, which we thought would be a big round, and have the support we had, to have the amount of merch we sold and the lines to meet the drivers, it's cool. I think it shows that we're on the right journey and we're not far away. So we'll keep doing the strategy we set in place a couple of years ago and follow on that, because it seems to be working. But it's nice that we can start to reward some of our fans that have been with us and before us, the Callies, for a long time, and get some results that I'm sure they're thirsty for, because it's not just us day in, day out that are working to grow the team. It's also our fan base, and they do a phenomenal job at supporting us when we're not performing and when we are performing. So I think for the whole team, it was a good reminder that it's bigger than just us, and it was cool for the drivers to see how much support they have.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, so you know, our performance and results so far have been positive, but also on a lot of levels maybe a bit disappointing. I think, you know, we've definitely set ourselves some high targets, and you know, the expectation now within the team is very high, coming off a few wins at the end of last year. Once you've tasted that, it's hard to go back to 3rds and 4ths. So you know, I think we definitely want more out of the year. Of course, we want to keep improving, and I feel like we're definitely doing that. So far, I'd probably give us about maybe a B minus, maybe a C plus, B minus. You know, sitting 2nd in the team's championship is really positive, but the gap to 1st is a bit bigger than we would like. So we need to work hard now to start to close that gap down. And really see some consistency in our performances week in, week out. And
it's a challenging one, because we're trying to grow the team and celebrate the milestones and the achievements we have, but it's also a very fine balancing act that we don't want to accept results that aren't where we want to be. So there are some positives certainly, but we've led 3 races and won none of them. So that probably shows a bit of the story of the year as to where we are. We've got performance, we've got potential, but we're not maximising it, and that's the focus for us moving forward. And that's also the part that takes a bit of time to come, because Matt's in his 2nd year and Richie's first year back after a while off, so there are some growing pains, but at the end of the day we're on the right trajectory, and hopefully we can have that breakthrough. And I think once that comes, we'll be a hard team to stop, but there's a lot of things we've got to do to get to that point and do that consistently.
Thanks for watching the first episode of the Ned Review. Make sure you come and join us in a few months' time and we'll wrap up the next 3 rounds of the Supercar season.